Welcome to the webinar Equals Math Extension Lessons. In this webinar, participants will be guided through the extension lessons that have been written to be an additional support to your Equals Math lessons. Let's get started. Extension lessons are available within the additional members-only content. You can request the additional members-only content by completing the form found on the website at the bottom of the slide. Extension lessons are organized into chapter in the additional members-only content. There is a folder for each chapter within the curriculum. Within each chapter folder, you'll find a folder for each section. Within the section folder, you'll find a PDF containing the extension lessons and material lists. For sections that have a presentation template, you'll find an additional folder containing the presentation templates. This folder will be labeled with the chapter, section, and word presentations. For some lessons, you'll find an example of how to set up the activity on the Equals Technology Lesson Center. This document is also found within your chapter folder. Use the examples as a visual guide to support you in setting up your Equals extension lesson. There are a variety of supports within the Equals extension lesson folder to support teachers and parents when completing not only the extension lessons themselves, but also a variety of resources to support distance learning activities if needed. The folder Equals Extension Introduction and Direction contains 3 PDF documents: the extension lesson introduction, teacher directions, and step-by-step directions for using the Equals Technology Lesson Center. It is recommended to read the introduction and teacher directions prior to teaching the extension lessons. The second folder is the Home Activities folder. The materials in this folder can be used after an Equals lesson has been taught as an additional opportunities for parents to use as a review. Teachers can choose to send parents the home letters or page 4 from a current or previous lesson to focus on a key skill that has been taught. The third folder, Equals Parent Support Materials, contains a variety of resources. Any of these materials may certainly be printed and sent home or emailed electronically. Additionally, within this folder, teachers will find the Equals at-home math materials list document. This document lists commonly found materials that will be found at home to support math learning, or they might also be found within your classroom to support generalization. Extension lessons were originally written to support classrooms that were providing instruction within a distance learning format. What we came to find out is that they actually can be used in a variety of ways to support your Equals math instruction. Extension lessons can be used after teaching an Equals math lesson as a way to extend and enrich what your student has been learning. Extension lesson activities can also be used to support small group rotations with structured activities that tie back to the lesson that you're currently working on with specific groups. Home tasks from the extension lessons can be sent home to parents who would like additional activities to do at home with their child to support your lessons. And finally, extension lessons can also be used to support extended school year activities. During our training today, we will explore each of these options as we learn more about the extension lessons. To get an idea of the layout of the extension lessons, here's an example of the structure. On the left are the extension lessons. Each page has multiple extension lessons listed that are meant to cover anywhere from 1 to up to 4 Equals math lesson objectives. The image on the right shows the material list showing hands-on materials to use during and after the extension lessons. The items on this list are organized by lesson and are ones that would be typically found within a home or within your own classroom learning environment. Depending on how you plan on using the extension lessons and the material lists can be printed for ease of use. If you are planning on using the extension lessons as a support at home, it is recommended to print or send home electronically the parent material list on the right to support parents in identifying the materials they have on hand while completing the home tasks. Along the top of each extension page, there is a chapter and a section identifier. Below is a gray material box to support teachers with identifying the needed materials. The materials box is organized into 3 parts: vocabulary, materials, and equals tech. Vocabulary words can be found in the vocabulary cards folder within the Equals Technology Lesson Center. The listed material section of the material box are those materials that would be provided by you as the teacher during your extension lessons. Now notice that the materials listed are somewhat vague. This was done purposefully so you can use the materials that you have readily available. Any material listed in italic font is meant to indicate that it does require some prep to complete prior to your extension lessons. Within the equals tech part of the material box, I've listed all of the images that you will need to use on the Equals Technology Lesson Center. Images listed in the equals tech portion of the material list can be searched as written. You can copy and paste the image name into the search box within the Equals Technology Lesson Center to quickly locate the image. You might also search for single terms such as red or 10 frame or square, then locate the exact image that you would want. Every extension lesson has a lesson identifier along the top. It is important to make sure to teach the extension lessons only after the listed lessons have been taught. Extension lessons are organized into a teacher portion and a home task portion. The teacher activity is listed along the top of the extension lessons. Teachers will use the Equals Technology Lesson Center or a pre-created presentation template to complete the extension lesson activity. These activities reinforce the lesson concepts taught within the listed lesson objectives. Prior to teaching the extension lesson, it is important to read through the entire activity to get an idea of the concepts and vocabulary reinforced. Then practice setting up the Equals Technology Lesson Center workspace and gather materials from your classroom as needed. As the extension lesson is completed digitally, either using the Equals Technology Lesson Center or a created presentation template, it is important to support student engagement during your demonstration using the material list. Students should be provided with these materials to work with after your demonstration. Now notice on the list, there are many options available. Be sure to select the materials that make the most sense for your students. The home task activities are next. Depending on how the extension lessons are used, parents or support staff in the classroom would use the model during your teacher portion to complete the home task. The materials on the material list are used to complete the activities. Notice on the material list, it does not specify materials to use. Again, that was done purposefully to allow for flexibility and what is available at home or within your specific classroom. Use the list of options to decide on the materials that would work best for your classroom and your students. So now to put a spotlight on how to use the extension lessons in a variety of ways. We'll begin with using the extension lessons to support distance learning lessons. Now, Equals extension lessons were developed to support distance learning opportunities linked to the Equals math curriculum. Extension lessons follow the Equals math lessons containing a teacher-led lesson activity and a home task to be completed within a student's home or caregiving environment. Lesson activities are written to directly reinforce the lesson objectives in a quick, engaging format. In the distance learning setting, teachers use the Equals Technology Lesson Center, as well as presentation templates on a live web conferencing platform or another digital tool to present the Equals extension lessons. Successful distance learning does require a school-to-home partnership. Parents may require support, especially as they assist the student in engagement, practice, and application during and after the lesson. With that in mind, we have included a variety of materials within the extension lesson folder to support both parents and teachers with successful implementation of high-quality math lessons. Review the variety of home supports provided within these materials and decide which would be the most useful for your students within a distance learning setting. The extension lessons are meant to be taught in addition to your equals math lessons. So be sure to continue to teach your equals math lessons with the Equals Technology Lesson Center and/or live demonstration, as well as involving your students with concrete objects with parent support. Support parents by locating concrete representations at home as needed by identifying common materials listed on the at-home math material list. It is important to emphasize having concrete materials present at home during equals lessons and equals extension lessons, as it is engaging for the students and provides a hands-on experience and an action to increase understanding and enhance memory. Even if the objects do not match the images on the Equals Technology Lesson Center during your demonstration, using other concrete materials gives students the opportunity to focus on the action and concept and increase the likelihood of generalization. Use the included material list as well as the at-home material list to support parents and students at home when identifying what they have on hand. Here's an extension lesson in action for the lessons 2B1 and 2B2. The Equals Technology Lesson Center is used and it's been set up using the directions from the extension lesson activity. Keep the objective in mind when completing these extension activities. This particular extension lesson covers 2 lessons. Those objectives are counting sets of 5 and constructing sets of 5. In this extension lesson, we are using the Equals Technology Lesson Center and the point image to count 5 fingers on a hand. I would ask, how many? 5. 5 fingers. I then use the images of cubes to place 1 cube on each finger. I would count the cubes. How many cubes? 5. 5 cubes. The cubes are then removed and are placed on the 5 frame. Say, I will count the amount in the set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many cubes? 5. 5 cubes. This demonstration is then repeated with the amounts 1 through 4 and other images that a student might request or choose. Notice there is also now a home task listed that parents can complete with their child. So pictured here is an example of a completed home task for this extension lesson. Parents work with their child to trace their hand. The student then chooses a counter found at home to place on each finger to count and construct a set to 5. Once complete, the parent takes a photo of the activity and sends it to the teacher. The teacher then can compile the photos and present them the next time that they meet as a way to review and reinforce the concept. Home task activities offer an important school-to-home connection opportunity. Be sure to set aside some time after your demonstration to discuss the home task and any questions that your parents may have. Be sure to model during your demonstration how to use the vocabulary words or specific action words or strategies or tools so that parents can see how to reinforce those tools or strategies or language at home. Remember to read through the home task activity to ensure that you emphasize the tools or language parents will use. This provides a crucial model and an opportunity for collaboration. If parents have questions about accessibility or how to use particular materials, you can always send home the action dictionary for specific action words. Read through the different ways to adapt an action word and decide as a parent and teacher team on one adaptation that would make the most sense for that specific student and the materials present. The at-home material list is another great opportunity to discuss with parents that the materials they have at home can absolutely be used and seen from a mathematical lens. Use this list and this time to discuss any substitutions that may be needed. For specific extension lessons, there are slideshow templates that have been created. These slideshow templates are just another tool teachers can use. The templates do come with examples and instructions. Teachers can follow the directions to create slides to support their lessons. Slides have also been created in PowerPoint, but could be imported into other presentation software such as Google Slides or Apple Keynote if needed. For example, these slides show the relationships between line segments and shapes. Teachers can use the templates to create their own slides with as many examples as they would like. Be sure to adjust these slides to make it meaningful for your students as needed. The second way extension lessons can be used are to extend and enrich equals math instruction. So extension lessons can be used as a way for you to review what has been taught during your equals math lessons. So you can use extension lessons to review a single lesson concept or even multiple lesson concepts. Think of those days when you might not be ready to move on to another lesson, or during those short weeks, or maybe right after a break. You can use the extension lessons as an opportunity to review or kind of just extend the learning that week to cover up into that short week or as you go on to break. If students need additional practice with the lesson concept, or if you would like to provide additional opportunities to work on the concept, but with different materials, the extension lesson can absolutely be used. This is where you can use the at-home material list to identify materials that you may have in your classroom that you can use during extension lessons as a way to promote that generalization. Extension lessons also provide an excellent view of how to incorporate technology to support your lessons. As a reminder, anytime you show a digital work matter tool, be sure to support students with concrete objects or the actual tool to also engage students during your extension lesson example. If you do decide to use the extension lessons to extend or enrich your equals math lessons, be sure you have taught all of the identified equals lessons prior to teaching an extension lesson. For example, here I have the extension lesson highlighted, so 2B3 and 2B4. Prior to teaching this extension lesson, I do need to make sure I have taught equals lessons 2B3 and 2B4. Once I have completed those equals math lessons, I can then move on to my extension lesson. This extension lesson will cover the concepts that are taught in both equals math lessons. So you want to make sure that before moving on to those extension lessons, that you've taught all of the listed equals math lessons. The third way that you can use the extension lessons is to support small group activities. If you are managing multiple small groups or chapter placements, extension lessons can absolutely be completed by support staff as a way to reinforce the lessons you have taught. The extension lessons can be split into 2 days of activities. On day 1, the support staff would use the extension lesson, the teacher demonstration portion. Then on day 2, the home task can then be completed. To get an idea of how extension lessons may look in a classroom with multiple small group rotations, the teacher is at the larger table at the top of our slide here. They're completing a lesson from chapter 3. Notice the assistant along the bottom left of our slide is completing an extension lesson from chapter 2 using the Equals Technology Lesson Center. Another small group is at their desks working on independent work. Each group is working on different chapters, but we have different activities that are supporting our equals math lessons. After some time has passed, we'll switch our groups. Notice the teacher is now teaching a chapter 1 group, and the support staff on the lower left here is completing the chapter 3 extension lesson, and our other group is now at their desks completing a chapter 2 independent work. This is an example of how the extension lessons can be used by support staff to complete small group or support your small group rotations. Extension lessons can also be used as an opportunity to provide some additional activity for parents at home. You can choose to send home the home task as a way for parents to support your instruction. So think about sending home tasks as an opportunity for homework if a parent requests that. As a reminder, the extension lessons have a parent material list that can be sent home so parents can be aware of the materials that they would need to complete those home tasks. It might also be helpful to send home the at-home material list as well for suggested substitutions. Now, for students who you know may need support when completing specific actions found in those home tasks, you might also find it helpful to send home the action dictionary and discuss any of those adaptations that might be most successful with those students when completing those home tasks. The fourth and final way that you could use the extension lessons is to support your extended school year. Extension lessons can also be used during extended school year as a way to review what has been taught during your regular school year. Similar to the way that the extension lessons are used for small groups or when supporting equals instruction, a complete extension lesson can be taught over the course of 2 days to review and reinforce the concepts that have been taught in those identified equals lessons. To help the ESY teacher or even just yourself keep track of the equals lessons that have been taught during the year, you can use the student tracker form found within the members only content within the informal assessment folder. This form can be used to identify specific lessons that have been taught and where you left off at the end of the year. Lessons that are highlighted are those that may need additional focus or may be related to a goal the student is working on. Those highlighted lessons may be the extension lessons that are focused on during your extended school year. As you begin teaching the equals math curriculum, whether it's in a distance learning setting or within the typical classroom setting, remember it is most important to first become comfortable with teaching the equals math lessons prior to implementing the extension lessons. Be sure to give yourself time to become familiar with the Equals Technology Lesson Center as well. This will support your equals extension lesson implementation. As a reminder, extension lessons are an optional piece that you can incorporate into your equals math implementation. Only begin using the extension lessons when you feel comfortable with the equals lessons and materials. As a reminder, to request the extension lessons, go to the website on the screen to complete a form to have the additional members-only content sent to your email. If you have any further questions or would like to request the members-only content sent to your email, you can always reach out or email the customer service team at customerservice@ablenetinc.com, and you can also call us on the numbers on the screen. As a reminder, any additional equals resources are found on the AbleNet website within the resources menu. Be sure to check out the equals resources page so that you can take advantage of all of the resources that are available to support your equals math implementation. Thank you for joining us today.